More than 1 million people visit the island of Alcatraz every year, but few know that this tourist hotspot was once a dreaded prison housing America's most notorious criminals. Nestled in the chilly waters of the San Francisco Bay, Alcatraz Island is shrouded in a cloak of mystery and intrigue. Known as the Rock, it began its life as a military prison, isolated and secure. As the years rolled by, it morphed into a federal penitentiary, a place of last resort for the nation's most hardened and incorrigible lawbreakers. The conditions were harsh, the rules were strict, and the punishments severe. Escape? An idea as cold as the waters that surrounded it. The supposed impossibility of escape was a psychological shackle as formidable as the physical ones, but were they truly unbreakable? That's a story for another time. Now, prepare to delve into the chilling stories of some of Alcatraz's most infamous inmates. First, meet Robert Stroud, better known as the Birdman of Alcatraz. Born in 1890, Stroud's life was far from ordinary, his path twisted and turned, ultimately leading him to a cell on the infamous island prison. Stroud was no angel. His first crime, manslaughter, landed him in McNeil Island Penitentiary. It was there that he developed a fascination for our feathered friends. A 3-year stint in solitary confinement saw Stroud turn to birds for companionship. He began to study them, learn about them, and eventually, he started to raise them right there in his cell. His passion for birds was so intense that he became a self-taught ornithologist, writing 2 books on the subject. He bred and sold canaries, and he even discovered a new disease in birds, along with its cure. Now here's where the irony kicks in. When you hear the name Birdman of Alcatraz, you'd naturally assume that Stroud kept his beloved birds with him during his stay on the Rock. But the truth is, he was never allowed to keep birds on Alcatraz. This was a man who had found a sense of purpose and solace in the company of birds, but when he was transferred to Alcatraz in 1942, he was forced to leave his feathered friends behind. Stroud spent 17 years on Alcatraz, and not once was he allowed to keep a bird. In fact, the moniker Birdman of Alcatraz didn't even come into play until after he'd left the island, when his story was popularized in a book and a movie. Stroud's life is a testament to the human capacity for adaptation and learning, even in the harshest of environments. His tale is a blend of darkness and light, crime and passion, solitude and companionship. Stroud's story is just one example of the many intriguing tales that Alcatraz holds. Stay tuned as we dive deeper into the untold stories of the famous inmates of this unforgiving island. Next, we turn our attention to Al Capone, America's most notorious mob boss. A name that is synonymous with organized crime, Al Capone was a figure who loomed large on the American scene during the Roaring Twenties. A mastermind and a ruthless leader, Capone was a key player in the illegal activities of the Prohibition era, running a vast empire built on bootlegging, gambling, and racketeering. However, Capone's reign came to an abrupt halt when he was sentenced to 11 years in prison for tax evasion. Among the numerous prisons that housed him, none was as infamous as Alcatraz, the maximum security prison located on an island in the San Francisco Bay. Known for housing America's most dangerous criminals, Alcatraz was a fortress designed to break the spirits of the toughest inmates. And Capone, despite his tough exterior, was not an exception. Upon arrival at Alcatraz in August of 1934, Capone was stripped of his mob boss status. He was just another prisoner, designated by the number 85. He was no longer the untouchable kingpin of the Chicago underworld. He was now a captive in the most secure prison in the nation, stripped of his power and influence. Life in Alcatraz was harsh and disciplined. The strict regimen and isolation proved too much for Capone, who was used to a life of luxury and power. His health deteriorated rapidly, and his mind began to unravel. The once feared mob boss was reduced to a shell of his former self, playing banjo in the prison band and showing signs of syphilis-induced dementia. Al Capone's time in Alcatraz marked the end of an era. It was here that the notorious gangster was finally brought to heel. His downfall served as a reminder that even the most powerful can fall, that no one is above the law. Alcatraz was the institution that finally managed to control the uncontrollable Al Capone, demonstrating its effectiveness in dealing with the nation's most hardened criminals. Al Capone's time in Alcatraz marked the downfall of one of America's most feared mob bosses. Now, let's revisit the violent episode that came to be known as the Battle of Alcatraz. It was the year 1946, and the tension within the cold, gray walls of Alcatraz was reaching a boiling point. In the heart of this pressure, cooker was an inmate named Bernard Coy, a man with a daring plan. Coy, a bank robber from Kentucky, was the mastermind behind one of the most audacious escape attempts in the history of Alcatraz. Coy and his accomplices meticulously planned their escape, exploiting the prison's weak spots. They managed to gain control of the main cell house by overpowering the guards. However, their plan started to unravel when they couldn't unlock the exterior door leading to the prison yard, a crucial step in their escape plan. The alarm was raised and Alcatraz was plunged into a bloody 48-hour siege. The authorities called in the U.S. Marines to regain control, marking the severity of the situation. The prison was under attack from within, its own inmates turning it into a battleground. The Battle of Alcatraz was a brutal affair, filled with ruthless violence and desperate acts. Bullets flew and grenades exploded, painting a grim picture of the struggle within. When the smoke cleared, the cost of this failed escape attempt was starkly evident. 3 inmates, including Bernard Coy, lay dead. 2 correctional officers had also been fatally wounded and many more were injured. Despite the violence and the loss of lives, the Battle of Alcatraz had a profound impact. It exposed the flaws in the prison's security and shook its reputation as an inescapable fortress. It forced the authorities to reevaluate their strategies, leading to significant changes in the management of Alcatraz. The Battle of Alcatraz serves as a stark reminder of the desperation and ruthlessness that the prison's conditions could breed. It's a grim tale from the annals of Alcatraz, a testament to the lengths that humans can go when pushed to the edge. Finally, we can't talk about Alcatraz without mentioning the Angland Brothers and Frank Morris. These notorious escape artists have carved their names into the annals of history with their audacious escape attempt in June of 1962. John and Clarence Angland, along with Frank Morris, were inmates in the Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary, a place renowned for its strict security measures. But these men weren't deterred. They devised an elaborate plan that took months of meticulous preparation. The trio carved out vents in their cells with spoons, creating a tunnel to an unused utility corridor behind the walls. They made dummy heads from soap, toilet paper, and real human hair, which they left in their beds to fool the guards during the night checks. On the night of June 11, 1962, the men crawled through the damp, narrow passages they'd carved out, climbed to the roof, and descended the prison bakery's smokestack to the ground. They inflated a makeshift raft, constructed from raincoats they'd stolen and stitched together, and disappeared into the dark, frigid waters of San Francisco Bay. The following morning, when the guards discovered the escape, a massive manhunt ensued. Despite the efforts of the FBI and local law enforcement, the men were never found. The official report concluded that they had drowned in the treacherous currents of the bay. However, there has always been speculation that they might have survived. Over the years, sightings of the men, vague leads, and even a letter allegedly from John Angland claiming they had survived have kept the mystery alive. Their daring escape remains one of Alcatraz's most enduring mysteries. It is a story of determination, ingenuity, and audacity that continues to captivate the world. The Angland Brothers and Frank Morris may have disappeared into the night, but their legend remains etched into the cold, hard stone of Alcatraz. Alcatraz's reign as America's most feared prison ended in 1963. The formidable fortress, perched on an island amidst the chilling waters of San Francisco Bay, had for decades stood as a symbol of the nation's most hardened criminals and the relentless pursuit of justice. But even the most imposing of structures have their expiration date, and Alcatraz was no exception. The closure of Alcatraz was a culmination of multiple factors. The first, and arguably the most significant, was the staggering cost of operations. Every aspect of running the prison, from transporting supplies and personnel to and from the mainland, to maintaining the buildings against the relentless wear and tear of the salty sea air, was an expensive affair. It was estimated that it cost nearly 3 times more to house a prisoner in Alcatraz than in any other federal prison. Another major reason for its closure was the deteriorating condition of the prison itself. The salty sea air wreaked havoc on the building's structures, slowly eating away at the concrete, the steel, and the very heart of Alcatraz. The government faced a daunting task of an expensive renovation, with the cost estimated to be in the millions. The ultimate decision was that Alcatraz, in its current state, was simply too expensive to maintain. Despite its closure, Alcatraz's legacy as a prison was far from over. The stories of its inmates, their daring escapes, the battles fought within its walls, and the chilling tales of life on the rock continue to captivate the minds of historians and the public alike. It may no longer be a functioning prison, but Alcatraz has found a new purpose, serving as a stark reminder of a bygone era in America's penal system. Alcatraz's reign came to an end not with a bang, but with a quiet, almost anticlimactic whisper. The last prisoners were transferred out on March 21, 1963, and the doors were shut for good. With its closure, Alcatraz's chilling legacy as a prison came to an end. But its stories, its legends, they continue to echo in the silent halls, forever etched in the annals of American history. From the Birdman to the daring escape artist, Alcatraz has been the setting for some of the most fascinating stories in American criminal history. This island, once a forbidding fortress, has been the stage for tales of resilience, desperation, and ingenuity. The Birdman, Robert Stroud, turned his cell into an aviary, while the mob boss, Al Capone, found that his power and influence meant little within these walls. We've witnessed the Battle of Alcatraz, a desperate and bloody uprising, and the audacious attempts of escape artists pushing their limits for a taste of freedom. Then, the eventual closing of Alcatraz, marking the end of an era. Each story, a testament to the enduring legacy of Alcatraz, a grim monument to the complexities of the human spirit. If you enjoyed this journey into the dark corners of Alcatraz's history, don't forget to hit the like button, drop a comment, and subscribe for more gripping tales from the past.